We will talk about the Midea mini-split air conditioner circuit board. We will discuss the error codes of this unit with you. The first error is F1. So what does it mean and what issues does it cause? This error indicates a problem with the outdoor unit. Let me explain what exactly goes wrong in the outdoor unit. There are some sensors installed, and I'll tell you which sensor is affected. The outdoor temperature sensor, also known as the outdoor ambient temperature sensor, can become faulty, open, or disconnected, which causes this issue. This sensor is installed on the outdoor unit, specifically on the backside of the outdoor unit. If this sensor is not properly positioned, or its position is altered, it will cause problems. That's why its position must be accurate. Now, I'll tell you the exact value of this sensor in ohms. If you know its value, you can test it properly and fix it efficiently. Let me clarify another point, and this applies to all the sensors installed. Usually, when we replace a faulty sensor, the issue gets resolved. However, there's a 5% chance that the fault may still occur if the PCB itself is damaged. What happens in such cases is that the sensors might not receive the required 5 volts, which leads to issues. The reason for this can be a faulty resistor or capacitor in the circuit, or even the microcontroller itself could be damaged. However, in most cases, the problem arises when the sensor itself is faulty. That's why it's important to check the sensor first when encountering such faults. Now let me tell you the value of the outdoor ambient temperature sensor. I've set up everything, so let's check its value. When I measured its value at 25 degrees Celsius, it showed 9.95 kiloohms. This means if you install a 10 kiloohm sensor, it will work perfectly fine. Now let's check which error code is displayed next. The F2 error is appearing on the display. Let me explain what the F2 error means and which component is faulty when this error occurs. Whenever the F2 error appears, it's also related to the outdoor PCB or unit. Let me show you what the issue is. As I mentioned earlier, 3 sensors are installed in the system. In this case, the exhaust pipe sensor, also called the condenser pipe sensor, is the one that causes the F2 error. If this sensor becomes faulty, short circuits, opens, or disconnects for any reason, the system will display the F2 error. This sensor is mounted on the condenser pipe, and in this unit, it is installed here at this specific position. If it remains in the correct position, it will work properly. However, if it's not installed in the right position, the system might display an error after an hour of operation. But most of the time, the issue occurs when the sensor short circuits, becomes open, or gets disconnected. Now, let's check the resistance value of the sensor. We are checking it at a temperature of 24.2 degrees Celsius, and the value should not fluctuate. As we can see, the value is showing 10.55 kiloohms, which is the correct value for this sensor. Now let's talk about the next error code, which is F3. What causes the F3 error to appear on the display? This too is related to the outdoor unit. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 sensors installed. Out of these, 2 sensors are placed together, and the third one, which you can see separately red, is the discharge pipe sensor. When this discharge pipe sensor becomes faulty, it causes the F3 error. This sensor looks like this, and I will also share its exact value with you. In the unit, you can see that it is installed on the discharge pipe. The thermistor measures the temperature of the hot refrigerant coming out of the compressor. There is a higher chance of this sensor failing because the temperature in this area can sometimes become extremely high. Now, let's check the resistance value of the discharge pipe sensor. It has a red-colored connector, and we're measuring its value at a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius. Let's see what value it shows. The reading is 57.8 kiloohms. If you check it again at the same temperature, it should show the same value. This means your sensor is working fine. However, if the value keeps fluctuating, it indicates that the sensor is faulty. Now let's look at the next error code, which is currently F4. What does F4 mean? This is also a fault related to the outdoor unit, but this time, it's not caused by the sensors. Let me show you that there are 2 microcontrollers in this system. One is the main microcontroller, and it is paired with an EEPROM. The second microcontroller also has its own EEPROM. If the EEPROM becomes faulty, develops a bug, or fails to communicate properly with the microcontroller, it will cause the F4 error. Even if just one of these 2 EEPROMs becomes faulty, the F4 error will appear. To resolve this issue, you need to identify which EEPROM is faulty. For this, you must have the original EEPROM and its correct data. Only then can you repair it properly. Click on the left or right thumbnail to watch our next videos, and subscribe. Thank you.